All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today we're unpacking a really provocative philosophical framework, one that completely reframes how we view work, success, and honestly, the entire timeline of our lives. The material we're looking at presents a fascinating, almost contrarian view on why so many young people today feel entirely lost and overwhelmed when entering the workforce. It suggests that we haven't just been given bad career advice, we've actually been given the wrong life advice. So we're going to break down this core argument. It claims that by simply shifting our fundamental definition of what a job actually is, we can avoid a massive midlife crisis and, ultimately, achieve a much deeper level of success.
So let me ask you a question right off the bat. And it's a challenging one that the source poses to young adults who are, navigating the anxiety of starting their careers. When you say you're going out to get a job, are you actually just going out to get money? Because if your sole purpose is to find a place that simply hands you cash in exchange for your time, this framework suggests you're instantly setting yourself up for stagnation.
Which brings us to Section 1, the job hunting illusion and finding society's meaning. You see, the stress of youth employment often stems from a complete misunderstanding of what stepping out into society actually means. According to this philosophy, young people are mistakenly searching for places that just hand out cash and comfortable perks. I mean, we all obsess over high starting salaries, right? Or strictly guaranteed weekends off and lucrative bonuses. But by rigidly filtering your opportunities through these purely economic conditions, you completely miss what society is actually looking for. People who are willing to work and learn, not just people waiting around with their hands out for a paycheck.
This framework even flips common financial safety nets completely on their head. Take severance pay, for example. The core idea here radically redefines it, arguing that focusing on severance in your youth is essentially preparing for failure. Think about it. Truly successful people don't wait around for a severance check because they are busy generating thousands of times that amount in actual value. So, to obsess over severance pay when you're just starting out, well, that's viewed here as a total admission of a defeatist mindset.
Moving on to Section 2, Society as a School and the idea of practical education. So, if we aren't supposed to just look for money, how exactly should we view our early jobs? Well, here's the core metaphor. School is merely foundational theory, but society itself is your actual practical education. It's where you discover your true aptitude. The university system really only gives you the basics, the math, the reading, the high-level theories. But when you step out into the real world, you're entering a new, much larger classroom. A job is a place where you encounter real people, test those basic theories, and learn the subtle nuances of human interaction and problem solving that a textbook literally cannot teach you. You are still a student, just in a different setting.
Because of this dynamic, the source offers a very specific piece of advice. Rather than greedily holding out for the perfect economic conditions, you should accept a role that meets just 70% of your criteria, provided it offers a great place to learn. The underlying logic here is that if you drop your rigid financial demands, an opportunity that fulfills about 70% of your needs will naturally present itself to you. No, it won't be luxurious, but it will give you just enough to survive while you focus intensely on what actually matters right now, studying the society around you and absorbing practical knowledge.
Let's map out the chronological life cycle that's laid out for our long-term development. Human professional development is structured here into very distinct, non-negotiable decades. You've got your 20s for formal education and entering the world, your 30s dedicated entirely to practical study in the workforce, your 40s where you absolutely must prove the skills you've accumulated, and eventually your 60s and your parents' later years where the results of your life's work bring profound emotional consequences to your entire family.
And that perfectly tees up Section 3, Time to Learn, focusing on that crucial 30s decade.
We're going to zoom in on your 20s and 30s, an era that is strictly designated for humble learning, not earning. The framework demands immense discipline here. It insists that if you spend this crucial phase chasing designer brands and high pay, your personal and professional development will completely stagnate. In fact, prioritizing money before your 30s is viewed here as strictly forbidden by the laws of nature. If you get distracted by comparing your salary to others, you aren't doing your job, which is to learn. You're just playing around, and that distraction is going to prevent you from managing yourself and mastering your environment.
Remember, you are still a student of society. And here is the harsh reality the source presents. If a studying student covets money, study becomes impossible. When you're entirely focused on the paycheck, you miss out on the interpersonal dynamics and the deep industry knowledge your job is actually meant to teach you. You are essentially wasting the absolute most critical educational period of your life. Let's jump into Section 4, Proving Your Worth, and the Unforgiving 40s.
This brings us to the high-stakes turning point of this entire philosophy. If the 30s were your silent preparation, the 40s are the loud, unforgiving final exam. There is a very stark warning here. If you didn't build skills in your 30s, your 40s are going to be incredibly difficult. Why? Because society suddenly stops treating you like a student. It demands that you produce real value and demonstrate true competence. You're now expected to take on a definitive position, and quite simply, to lead.
The source maps out this exact cycle of failure, and it explains the hidden reason why so many people get pushed out of their roles in middle age. If you chased money in your youth, you never actually built your internal skills. Therefore, when your 40s arrive, you have absolutely nothing to show for it. It's not bad luck, it's a failure to prepare when it was time to study. But on the flip side, if you spend your 30s humbly learning, by your 40s you will naturally emerge as a respected leader. You'll stand tall as someone society desperately needs.
Finally, Section 5. True success, happiness, and family.
Navigating this life cycle correctly isn't just about your own career. It ties directly into traditional concepts of family happiness. The lecture contrasts fake filial piety with real filial piety, taking a fascinatingly harsh view on what we traditionally consider caring for aging parents. If you're a professional failure whose only real contribution is, say, massaging your parents' arms when they ache, the framework views that as a failure. Real filial piety is achieved when you do meaningful, impactful work in society, because when the public respects and follows you, your parents feel this deep, fulfilling pride that genuinely keeps them healthy and joyful.
To really drive home the immense emotional weight of your career mindset, there is this incredibly powerful metaphor about the physical toll your professional failure takes on your aging parents. A parent's physical health is viewed as intrinsically linked to their child's success. As long as the child is doing well and is respected, the parent won't feel pain. But every time a child struggles because they failed to build a proper foundation, it literally physically wounds the parents, manifesting as ailments and sickness as they age. It's a heavy, deeply interconnected view of how our career choices ripple out to the very people who raised us. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this provocative question, really inviting you to rethink your own path through the lens of this philosophy. The ideas here fundamentally challenge the modern rat race, don't they? They ask us to stop looking at our early careers as a mere transaction for cash, and instead embrace them as the ultimate real-world classroom. Because if this framework holds true, having the patience to prioritize learning over earning today is the exact formula for becoming the indispensable leader of tomorrow. So what's your next move going to be? Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive, and I hope this has given you a powerful new perspective to consider on your own journey.